In today's video, we're going to talk about how we can create an HDRI backdrop ourselves and how we can fit that map perfectly to our scene. So let me just show you what I'm trying to say. So as you can see here, I have an HDRI map which has placed perfectly on my scene and the color combinations are totally compatible with it. But let's just change the level that I've created before to better understand the differences. So this is an HDRI map that I've created with the default Unreal Engine's HDRI backdrop. So let me just remove this map and reload it again on Unreal Engine's HDRI backdrop actor. I think, yeah, my maps are here in this folder. So let me just drag it this HDR formatted file. And as you can see, this map is messed up, okay? It's not really cool and it didn't fit on our scene. So what do we gonna do? Let's just go back to our first level, and as you can see, this map is cool, okay? This map fitted properly on our scene. So let me just start from zero, okay? Let's just delete all the lighting actors that I've placed in this scene. I think the next one is the skylight, and yeah, let's just start from scratch. So the first thing that I'm going to do is to search for editor sphere in the engine's content, and let's just go to the engine's content. And if you didn't see the engine's content, you can check that option and let's just search for it, the editor sphere, and yeah, it's right here. And the reason that I'm going to use it as my HDRI is that the UVs of this editor sphere are very compatible with the HDRI backdrop. So let me just change the view mode to onlit so I can better see the stuff in my scene. So let's just add it to our scene, add the editor sphere to the scene. So the next step is to create a material and assign the sky to this material. So let me just name it as m underline sky, and let's just go to material editor window, and the next step is to change the shading mode to onlit, and just make sure that you've checked this two-sided option over here because we're going to be inside of that sphere. And the next step is to, let's just go back to content browser, and here are my maps, and I'm going to drag it to my material editor. So let's just take a look to the website that I've downloaded, which is Polyheaven. I highly recommend you to check this website and just make sure that you're going to download your HDRI map in EXR format. So I'm going to drag this EXR formatted HDRI map to my material editor. So let's just do that. All right, the next step is to add a multiply by holding M button and click on a blank space on material editor, and here we have our multiply. Let's just connect the map to first node and let's add a constant vector to our material and let's convert it to a parameter, and I'm going to rename it as the intensity because I want to control the intensity of my skylight with this parameter. And let's just connect it to the B node and let's add just the value of the intensity, and finally let's connect it to emissive color. And here we have our material, and I'm going to save it. It will take a while, and let's just continue and go to the next step. All right, now that we have created our material, let's assign it to this editor sphere. And as you can see, it is too small to play the sky role, so I'm going to add a skylight to my project. All right, first of all, I'm going to change its mobility to movable. And here we have a parameter called sky distance threshold. And as you can see, it has set on 150,000. Okay, so let's just go back to editor sphere and rescale it to that sky distance threshold amount, which was 150,000. And boom, here we have our HDRI backdrop, which is really cool and has seated perfectly on our scene. And let's take a look to the other sides, and I'm going to just rotate it to get the better view of this sunset. But we have a problem here. Let's change the mode to lit. As you can see, it doesn't reflect on the meshes that I'm using in my scene. So what we're gonna do is to go to the skylight, and here we have a button called recapture, and I'm going to click on it, and problem solved. All right, the next step is to disable the parameters which leads to cast shadows in my scene in the editor sphere, because I want to create my shadows with a directional light. So I'm going to type shadow word in the editor sphere actor, and let's just disable these factors. And yeah, I think it's okay. So let's just continue. All right, now let's take a look to the environment that we've created. As you can see, we have a sunlight which shines from that side. And yeah, that's right there. Therefore, I'm going to create a directional light and place it in a way to simulate the sunlight and the place of the sun of my HDRI backdrop. But first of all, let's just add this cube here. And by help of that, I'm going to distinguish the exact place of sun, because it will lead to some shadows. So let's just adjust the sun's intensity, and by holding the Control and L button, I'm going to replace it in my sky. And as you can see, it leads to some shadows because of that cube placed on my scene. I think it's okay. So let's just decrease the temperature to simulate this sunset feeling. And yeah, I think it is okay, but we have a problem here. The intensity of the sunlight and skylight doesn't match, so I'm going to increase the intensity of skylight from the intensity parameter that I've created from material editor. So let's just increase it to something like 25. But what is the exact value of this intensity parameter in real world? Because as long as I increase this intensity value in Unreal Engine, the auto exposure will balance it out. So let me just show you something really interesting. I found a quite useful table on Wikipedia called a luminance magnitude, and if you're going to type it, you will find it also. And what this table shows is someone went out and measured the brightness of different situations out there. For example, here we have a situation like typical photographic scene at sunrise or sunset, and its value is 25 candela per square meter. But how are we supposed to measure such value on Unreal Engine 5? So let's just close this material editor, and I'm going to click on this show button here, and from the visualize tab, let's click on HDRI adaptation. By doing that, a target will appear on the center of your screen, and this first value, which its unit is nit, shows that candela per square meter, and if you put it on brighter sides of your scene, the value will increase, and vice versa. If you put it on the darker sides of your scene, the value will decrease. So what I'm going to do is to place the target on somewhere between the darkest and brightest side of my scene. And let's just go to the material editor, and let's adjust the intensity of the sky in a way to get 25 candela per square meter value. And as you can see, we reach to that amount, and let's just apply the material, and let's disable this eye adaptation option, and the brightness of the scene is just like the real world. So in order to reflect it on the meshes, I'm going to click on the skylight, and let's just click on this recapture button again to have the reflections on the meshes. And finally, I'm going to adjust the intensity of the directional light in a way to simulate this sunset better. So let's just increase it a little bit. And you know, I'm going to compare the intensity of directional light with that building, okay, to simulate it better. And I think it is just like the sunset that I've used in my HDRI map. Alright guys, I hope this would be useful to you. Just don't miss the other Unreal Engine videos on the channel. See you in the next videos.